Why software estimates are always wrong. I'm Chris Athanas. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out to close that portal on Tuesday. What am I supposed to say? They're not. I'm going to be responding today, or reacting today, about why software estimates are always wrong. This is a very controversial subject because the people in the business side, they think that every single process in the world, including software development, is basically a factory. And if we can chop the work up into little pieces and dole it out, we can make an efficient factory. And it's just not what software development is. It's software development is knowledge work. There are aspects of it that are factory like, but we are trying to create the factory, the thing that we're creating at the factory. We're not trying to make the factory make the widget that's already automated away. We are trying to figure out what widget to have the factory make. That's the challenge. In knowledge work, it's messy, it's incomplete, it's non-deterministic. We have no idea if it's going to work. A lot of it's guessing. It comes down to taste, style, experience, culture, ethics, morals. All these different factors that are non-technical. But let's see what. So that's why its estimates are always going to be wrong. And there's been plenty of studies on this, but let's get into it. It's just really hard to talk to business people who have been told by other Harvard MBAs that every business is just a manufacturing company. It's like, no, there are aspects of it, but not every business is that one, especially not software development. And if you treat it that way, you're going to be very sadly and sorely disappointed because somebody's going to take your lunch because you think you got a factory and you're supposed to be trying to figure out what the factory makes, not thinking that you have a factory. Let's keep going.
Estimation is just a fancy word for guessing.
Yes.
We're usually guessing about the problem that we need to
No,
solve.
but okay, hey. Yes, it's guessing, but other aspects of business. So this is where I'm going to agree with the Harvard MBA. Every single other business, they have estimates that they know within a certain amount of tolerances how long that thing is going to take because they've done it 500 times, the same exact thing. Maybe not this location, maybe not these materials, but like they know within a certain tolerances, and other business people are expecting this data. They're expecting this data. They have very low tolerance because if you don't do this in every other business, if you don't do these things, you will not be in business long. So I understand why it's very difficult for business people want to accept that a lot of these things we can't know. We can give us a time period, which is in adventure driven development. That's the method out. Is you have a specific amount of time. We're not going to try and split it up. We're going to try and make as much progress as we can in a specific amount of time with all the things we need to do, which is go into adventure driven development. What that was lots of interaction with the customer, lots of trial and error, lots of experiments. And not even trial and errors, like experiments that we think are going to go right, which had unexpected results. We try and learn from those results and refine the experiments. It's not just ABC. It's like refine. And how long can you do that for? You can do that forever. It's like there's this exploration space that can go on forever, and there's the refinement after you find a product market fit, and then refining down to get a really tight fit for what your customers are looking for. That's an evolutionary process that is open ended and it has no defined ending because it's lots of taste and style and trends and all sorts of stuff. Let's keep going.
Of how we'll solve it, how long it will take, and so how much it will cost. Oh, and if we're really advanced, we may try guessing about how much money we will make from the idea too. So what?
Impossible. I know people want this and it's expected in every other field, but in software development, it's literally impossible. That's why it's so risky. And we have to have a different way of managing that risk. And the way to do it is the only way I find out without micromanaging the people involved with knowledge workers, which hate it. They just buck that stuff. It just kills creativity. Is given you only have a given time period. And after the time period is set, we shut up about it. You already know when it's due. Now, can we get the customer in here? Can you get on a call? Can we find some more customers? Can you do some more UI design? Give us some more examples. How can we refine this? How can we first find the thing that we're trying to get a product market fit with, and then refine it better? Like, what do they have this? Do they want stuff turned off? Is that a thing? Can we take stuff away? Make it simpler? Can we make it more refined for our particular niche? That kind of stuff.
What is the point?
So how long does that take? I don't know. Nobody knows. Quit asking us. Like, you want us to know. It's like, I know you. They want us to find this stuff because every other business, you got to do this. And if you don't do it, you're screwing up like hard. So then, but in software, if you do it, you can do that for a little while, but eventually someone's gonna take your lunch from doing that stuff because it just micromanages away the innovation, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to do something new for a set of customers who are already having a problem solved in some other way, and we want to come along and take some of that money, take the lunch of we want to quick take some of those jobs, and we want to take the solve that problem for them at a profit, right? That's the whole that's the whole thing. So we're always continuously trying to figure out how to take someone else's lunch, or we secure our moat, and so, the moat slowly fills up, and we have to bail the more water out of the moat so it goes down, so nobody can just float across it. And we have to also fill it with alligators, and that's a metaphor for meeting the customer's problems and needs and wants in a way that nobody else can do, and we'll charge them for it.
Of an estimate, really, and why are they always wrong? Oh, and while we're exploring those ideas, how can we do a better job of choosing what to work on next? Hi, I'm Dave Farley. Welcome to my channel.
Hey,
And if you
Dave.
haven't been here before,
He's all right. He's all right. He's super enterprisey, corporate-y, and he kind of like comes in after product market fit. So he's not a big expert in that, but he knows how to do the refinement process and keep it flexible and light and friendly. Let's keep
please do hit subscribe, and if you enjoy the content today, hit like as well. We can estimate all sorts of things, but they are by their nature always just predictions of the future, and so just guesses, and all are deeply prone to error. We can't really know how much money our killer idea will make, or how long it will take us to build a software that's new in some way.
Correct.
If your aim is to create great software products,
But if we're honest, we'll say that. But so we always, I see these projections and stuff, is like people then take these estimates as being set in stone. It's like, no, man, we have no idea. We're lucky if this thing will be successful at all. Most of this stuff fails. Come on now.
this is always an incremental progression. Great product ideas in reality don't spring fully formed from the mind of some genius. They evolve over time in a series of steps and get better and better until they are great. This stuff is really difficult to predict. Mostly
You can't. Why even try? That's the thing, is you got to stop trying to predict it. We're just going to get it. How about this? How about this? How about this? No, no, no. Oh, maybe. Oh, okay, let's get close. Oh, yeah, not that. Oh, you're kind of closer over there. Okay, now you're getting more. Now you're cooking. What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And you're how many times can you do what about this in this time period? What about this? What about this? And then at the end of this thing, you better be somewhere close. So the people involved are like, do I want to continue this? Can I take another vacation? Can I take another time off to do your thing? Or can I find an investor in the time period allotted? If you can't, well, back to the drawing board. I don't have to tell you.
In software, when we discuss estimates, what we're really talking about is estimates that help us to decide whether or not we should do something. Is this project or feature worth all of the effort?
Total intuition, gut feel based on all the things of it's curation, taste, not to put in, what to put in, what to leave out, what to ignore, what to focus in on, what to pay a lot of close attention to, it's not necessary to even look on the third 3 screens in, that stuff. And you kind of have to have one person that says yes, no, this, that, not this, that. Unless you're going to have a whole bunch of parameters in your code base, I guess. I mean, that's one way of doing it. But I'm talking about like still trying to get product market fit, man. You don't want to do all that stuff.
Mentally, the question that we are attempting to answer.
It's all trade-offs. There's no perfect. We're never going to get it out the gate fully formed, even though it's what business people want. That's how they see it. They see a lot of these products fully formed. It's like, no, man, this went through hundreds and hundreds of cycles, thousands of cycles, maybe millions even.
Is what should we work on next? So if that's the case, how do you figure out what to work on next? The traditional response is often probably based on Hippo, the highest paid person's opinion.
Exactly. Or the customer who's paying the bills, man. And whoever they delegated it to. They're who's in charge here. Are we bootstrapping this thing? Is it really the customer who's going to be in charge? The end user is the customer? Or is it the VC? We're trying to get funding. So we're going to the ECI, we're at a deck. We have to get a deck going, and we have to simulate the whole thing ahead of time, put it in people's minds, like what you're going to do with this thing and how it's going to make $1 billion. Or is it somebody else, friends and family? Is it just you want to put their name in the credits, see their name in light? I don't know. Who is the customer? That's important to know who that is, because how to keep that thing going and bring it to market is going to be very different depending on which of those cases.
but hippos rarely make good products. What we'd really like to find is the most value for the least work. So how do we pick those easy?
I mean, that's nice to say. The most value for the least work. I mean, none of these guys talk about luck, man. They never talk about sometimes it's just the right place, right time, right thing. And if it was 6 months earlier, flop. If 6 months later, flop.
High value things.
They never talk about
I have a
that.
simple tool that I've been using and recommending for some years now that I think really helps us to focus on this question.
Let's see it.
Sometimes, though, the wins don't always come from where you expect. I had a long-term client, a big company doing complicated things. I'd been working with them for a couple of years, and one of the people that I was enjoying working with quite a lot was their lead product owner. He was a big lean thinking proponent within the firm, but was
Okay, lean. I mean, like lean, the startup stuff. I hate that name, lean. It's like such a bad connotation. Everybody's skinny and emaciated. We're not eating because we're doing lean. We decided to live in squalor because we're doing lean. It's like, oh man.
struggling to help the product owners that worked for him to establish a leaner approach to product ownership. They were struggling with big, over-complex estimations, the feeling of the need for certainty, not feeling
Yeah. Because they've been told. Someone's didn't tell them, hey man, you're doing software now. We can't do that. It's not possible. I know you want to, but it's a different thing. It's called knowledge work. Knowledge work does not is the thing that creates. We figure out what widget to make in the factory. Knowledge work is what now the factory is. We can make the factory make this widget really efficiently, ship it overseas with all the things all the tricks you can do. But we're trying to figure out what widget to make. It's different. We don't know how long it's taking. We may not make it. This is the risk. This is the risk involved. We may not make it. It's important to know there's a possibility of failure. We may not find the product market fit. We may run out of time before that happens, or money, or whatever, or patience. This is the risk.
feeling confident to make a choice unless they had detailed plans in place with estimations for the work and the cost of the work.
And you can stay in that forever because you're never going to find out until you put it against the user, the actual person paying for it, the actual person putting the money on the table and trying to get the benefit out of it. That person, finally, in the end, you can do the VCs for a while, you can do friends and family, whatever, you can fool all those people, you can make it look like you're really doing something, but until you start talking to the customer and trying to get them to fork over their hard-earned money for whatever solution you've developed, then you don't really know if you have it or not. And it's super scary, and they all want to avoid it. These guys are all chicken shits. They don't want to go confront the dragon directly, which is all the problems that the user talks about that you have to deal with if you want to get their money out of their pocket. Come on now, this is how it works.
As well as detailed market
It's America,
research
man. This is how business works. What are you talking about?
the value of the features being discussed. We were discussing all this and how much work was involved and how to do better when I remembered something that I had learnt from my friend Jeff Patton, a kind of informal qualitative planning tool that works really nicely to visualize the planning problem. My friend, the product owner, loved this. Subsequently, its adoption made a huge difference in improving the planning process for his organisation and helped the product owners to focus better and more easily on the features that really mattered to people, and so ultimately delivered better value to their customers. This approach helped them to prioritise things much more easily and with much less work. By now, I'm imagining some big complex tool, but that's not it.
Better not be.
It is really simple. Simple enough, in fact, that you can remember all of the details that you need to know to be able to use it next time you're doing some planning. Let me pause there to thank our sponsors. We're fortunate to delivery and software engineering to you. And plans are always wrong. They're the good news. We are rubbish at predicting the future. So planning is always difficult.
We are rubbish. It's impossible. You're asking things that we have no training for. And the only way it's anywhere close to accurate is if we did doing the same thing to this week that we just did last week, and it's the same kind of thing, yeah, then I can tell you how long it's going to take, or this month, or whatever. I did the same thing, exact same thing, same system, same software, same libraries, everything like that, like a migration or something like that. And we're doing it the same kind of migration again because that one didn't go quite like we wanted to. We had to do another migration. Then I can probably give you an estimate. But other than that, you're asking us, well, how are we supposed to know? We don't know what the user wants. We don't know what they don't know what they want. How are we supposed to know what they want when they don't even know what they want until we show it to them, right? We have to show it to somebody something real, the concrete thing, because they don't want to know how we do our job. They want to just they only see the screen, right? That's all they have. And they all can see how this could, can't really visualize how this happens to go through. I have some ideas about how to make that happen, make it more visual. People can get inside these events and it's going to be more helpful with how to put these things together. But I mean, I'll do that in another video for that. But it's like, Yeah, we're asking you're asking people to look into the future and predict things that are not predictable. All we can do is experiment. We can try this, 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 and we can try all those things. And like from those experiments, which takes creativity and insight to your problem space domain and your customers and their needs and the competitors, all that stuff has to be mixed up in there. And you want to know how long it's going to take until we figure it out. Well, I got news for you. We don't know. And it's just, this is a source of bad feelings, hurt feelings, um, over projections. And honest, and the thing is, if you are honest with people, it's going to take a lot longer than they at first, other people will tell them, because there's this, people don't want to, you don't want to know how long it's going to take. It's basically, it's going to take as long as it takes until you don't want to do it anymore. Software projects aren't killed, they're just abandoned. They Nobody kills it off. It's like, okay, we're not doing that anymore. We're not running that. We're not loading it. We're not funding. We're not doing anything more with it. It just kind of just sits there. After that, just
And plans are always wrong, though the good ones can also be useful. So we need some
now you can have a things like goal, like milestones, things that we need to proceed to go to, but the actual details inside each one, fuck, man, you want to break that up now. In a manufacturing process, if you don't do that, you're in big trouble. But in the software, it's just not possible. It wouldn't it be nice, like, to figure out how long it's going to take for Thomas Edison to invent that process for manufacturing light bulbs efficiently? How many times more times, Edison? I don't know. I'm at 125. He didn't know he had 800 more to go. He only knew he was going to do the next one. Another experiment. Another experiment. Now, some of those experiments are completely ridiculous, but a lot of them weren't. They were just, oh wow, I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that to have to be actually work there. All right, well, here we go. And then after what, 1,000, finally got a process. But who wants to go through those 1,000? Most people give up at 100. If they have 10 times more to go than they just did, most people give up, justifiably so.
tools to help us.
It's expensive. I got things to do. The old lady's coming back from vacation. I gotta clean up this Unix thing, and I got 2 days left. It's that kind of stuff, man.
To do a better job than simply just guessing. Some kind of structured guessing, maybe. What is generally regarded as the gold standard for rational planning is probably something a bit more complicated than the thing that I'm going to end up recommending in this video. It's called CD3, cost of delay divided by duration. Fundamentally, to make rational planning decisions in software, we need to make some kind of cost-benefit calculation and do a trade-off.
It's all very subjective.
How do we maximize the benefit to us for the minimal costs?
Okay, costs of what? What is the benefit? Benefit of what? Who? See, these terms are very nebulous. Let's keep
There are
going.
lots of organisations that don't work this way. These are really cargo cult kind of organisations. They only see the costs, and so always organise their work to minimise them.
Right.
That's certainly part of what we need to do.
That's usually someone that didn't come up as a software company, and maybe they're transacting it out, or they're consulting it out, or they just cargo culture, brought these processes in from someplace else. Somebody told them at a conference, in a book somewhere, that they had to do it a certain way, and they got the gospel, and they're going to try it, and they're going to go all the way with it, and then realize, okay, it's more complicated than that.
But these organisations will often do rather silly things, like delaying work on valuable ideas because the plan says that they should be working on some lower value thing right now. That's because the benefit wasn't included in the prioritisation decision, only the cost. This is stupid, however low the cost. The next step up from this is to estimate the business value for each new feature and prioritise work to ensure that we always focus on the most valuable things. Most organisations don't do a great job of this.
Well, how could you? I mean, it's so... Sometimes it's clear and sometimes it's not clear.
Partly because this is a very difficult thing to do well. How do you work out how valuable an idea will be if you haven't even tried it yet? At this point, the common mistake is to assign the failure of this approach to bad planning and blame it on inaccuracy.
As opposed to, we're at experiment number 168. We don't know how many more we got to go. Now, somebody was like, well, you got 3 months, man. It's like, okay, well, we can do 28 more experiments in those 3 months. We'll do our best, but if we can't make it, we can't make it. It's like, welcome to the world of software development.
See in the estimates of either the cost or the benefit or both. The most common response to this that I've seen is to up the level of planning effort with the assumption that this will improve the plan.
Mistake. I wish it worked like that. Wouldn't that make sense? Now, for factory stuff, it does make sense, and that's totally instinctually correct, and our culture is saturated with that understanding. But software development is not a factory. We're trying to make the what we're going to make the what at the factory. What widget are we going to make? You can't super plan it even more. You can't ultra plan that. It doesn't work like that.
Increasing the precision of the estimates for both costs and benefits. Well, this is wrong in two ways. This is mistaking accuracy for precision.
Right.
Accurate estimates would be nice, but can easily also be vague, so vague to be useless.
Right. You could be accurate in some other direction. Like the target we're trying to go over here, what actually the user demands, all their crazy weird stuff that they want to do is right here. And you can plan all you want and be right over here. We're gonna accurately hit right over here. Because our plan says we need to be over here, instead as opposed to what the user we're going to find out with experiments. How much of experiments? How much picking through the dirt until we find a gold nugget? I don't know. We don't know. Why do we? I know it'd be nice to know. We could just have X-ray vision, and we could look through the dirt and see where all the gold is and go right to it. Wouldn't that be nice to have those like the oil transducers that tells us exactly where the oil is to go point to right to it? Wouldn't it be nice? We don't got that. Sorry. It's in there, but we don't have a technology yet that officially allows us to go into it first, and that's the limitation of these current systems. That should be one of the things that we put into this next operating system, is somehow to pre-visualize these things with people without having to build it all out.
It's accurate to say that we will deliver in 10 years, but not very helpful.
Without spending 25 years on it.
Precise estimates are completely irrelevant beyond a fairly crude level.
Right. We can be precise with this wrong target. We'll have it dialed in. We'll have everybody on it, but you're gonna miss. You're gonna miss the. There's gonna be somebody else that's gonna be dink 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 dink, but you're gonna be dink 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 going directly into the wrong thing. Precisely, we got it within 2 weeks. We made the deadline, but you're over here. Nobody cares about that you made the deadline because the thing was over here that people wanted, and there's another companies out searching all over that space, and some of them get there first. It's kind of luck. There's no way to predict this stuff. I know we want to. But wouldn't it be nice to be able to predict this stuff? But because of all the times, the amount of effort people have gone into it, and still not being able to predict it, should tell you that's probably not possible.
Precise to say we will deliver on Tuesday at 2:30.
It's a philosophical conundrum paradox that will not be resolved in this universe.
But irrelevant. Someone recently told me that their boss insisted on estimates to the nearest quarter of an hour. What a crazy
I wonder if they're still in business.
waste of time, money, and development effort that is.
But it can show, looks good on paper, doesn't it? You can got a lot to show. You can show all the hours worked, how precise they are. You're right on target, but it's like you're pointing at the wrong thing because you thought it was over. You thought the user wanted it over here, and you thought wrong. Now some of these people get right. Sometimes, or they get right enough, but they never get the target down here that people who are hunting around with this user feedback loop, which is super annoying. I think it's fun, but for most people, they want to go direct to it because they got budgets. They don't have so much time. I get it, but you have to, if you really want to get the good stuff, you got to do this iterative process, which meanders around, and people get bored and lost, and they don't want to do it anymore, and they quit, and people come in, and they do the hunting around, and no guarantees you're going to get it. You could be off in the middle of the weeds if you're like not actually doing, you're just simulating the user, but I'm the product owner. You don't want to talk to the user. You just talk to me. It's like, and we're gonna still miss the thing. You have to actually talk to the end person customers, laying down their money for the thing you're building. Then you'll get the truth.
In science, this problem is solved by defining what they call error bars for any measurement. We should understand the degree of uncertainty involved in the measurement.
Yeah, so you're measuring to go here, and you missed, but you came over here. Okay, you're within 2 weeks of that thing. Okay, what is it? Doesn't mean anything.
Or estimate. And there is no point measuring or estimating.
Now in manufacturing, it's super important. It's critical. You screw this up, you're done. But in software development, it's just not possible. And these numbers don't even mean anything.
Things more precisely than that. In software estimation, the error bars are huge. At the start of a project, research says that it's out by a factor of 4. 4 times your estimate.
But it doesn't work. Okay, again. irrelevant until you actually get the product market fit and you stay on it and you have some sort of development system that's sustainable and doesn't burn everybody out after 6 months or a year. That kind of stuff that's going to be the next stage of software development. Or not trying to be all things to all people, like niching down.
Estimate, which actually calls much estimation into question altogether, hence the no estimates movement. So working to increase precision
Yeah,
is completely the wrong thing to aim for. Another problem is, how
agree.
do we estimate the value of a feature?
Unknown. You can only value it after the fact. Before the fact, again, it's just guesses, and it's like educated guesses, being in the market space, be getting lucky, trying a bunch of stuff out, and like all of a sudden, oh shit, that's the one that stuck. Yeah. How do you? There's no way to know ahead of time. If we knew ahead of time, we wouldn't be talking about this. We just use the XYZ method, and you'll know exactly what the users want. It's like, if we had that, if all this stuff worked, we wouldn't even be talking about this anymore. It would just be like, use the Z process. But we don't have that because it doesn't exist.
Traditional measures of value don't usually factor the costs in at all. Most development organisations can't even tell you if a project paid for itself even after the project has finished.
Yeah, yeah. That's. But if you're not in there playing the game, you're not going to get any of it. So welcome to the club.
Let alone before it starts. The mathematical model is simply wrong, however accurate or precise the estimates, because we're missing a whole important dimension in
Correct.
guessing the value: time. Which feature should we build first? This one that will cost 3 weeks but will ultimately have a business value of 2 million, or this one that will take 5 days and ultimately have a business value?
You're just gonna guess. Sometimes you're gonna be wrong. I know we want this. I know we want a science. I know we want to predict the future. We so much want it. But in this realm of work, you kind of have to accept that you're not gonna get it.
Of 100,000. Well, obviously 2 million
These are good things to like think about, but it could take 25 days and be valued at $6. It could take 17 weeks and be valued at $100 billion. That's like, you don't know, man. This is all guesses.
is better than 100,000. So option 1 is better, right? Well, that depends on what ultimately a value means in those
Right.
statements.
Exactly.
If ultimately for option 1 means 10 years and ultimately for option 2 means 1 month, then after 1 year, option 1 is worth 200,000 and option 2 is worth 1.2 million.
Exactly.
Another kind of problem with all of this is, what about option 3 that will take 5 days but has zero value for customers? Obviously, this is
that's most software projects, by the way.
no brainer. We don't want to do this one, except what if this is a regulatory change? And, as is sometimes possible with such changes, what if there's a fine every week that this change isn't in place? How do we calculate the value of that feature to prioritise stuff? We're missing several important things here, and those things are what CD3 helps to solve. Instead of asking, what is this feature worth, a much better question is, how much does it cost us not to have this feature per unit of time?
Opportunity cost?
Now we can see the real costs of going more slowly. If you'd like to understand this better, there's a link to a more detailed explanation of CD3 in the description to this video. The problem with CD3 though is that once again it still relies on us coming up with a guess for that cost of delay, and it's easy for us to fall into the trap of being over accurate and over precise in our guesses. Great if you can
Again, we're back at the thing. The only answer I've seen that really makes sense is what I brought into adventure driven development. I didn't discover it or whatever. It was always there. You have 3 months. We got we got funding for 3 months, guys. We have this thing we're going to try and do. How can we get there and get product market fit in 3 months and see if there's anything here? Whether you're funding it or somebody else is funding it, whether you're doing it part-time, you only have a limited amount of time. Whether you think you're going to work on the rest of your life or not, that's not true. You're going to have a limited amount of time where the idea comes into your mind. You have the capability of it. You see the problem you're going to solve to implementing it and getting it to market. And if you don't, somebody else is also thinking along the same lines and want to do the same thing. And they may get it better, maybe get it worse. It's all risk.
Like this, not much help if you can't do that very well. As I said, predicting the future is difficult. At heart,
it's difficult. It's impossible, man. You're saying it's come on. It's not just difficult. It's impossible. So we got to get over this. To try to estimate it at all. If you're missing the point, missing the question, we should just stop this. It causes all kinds of bad feelings.
I'm a pragmatist, and so in general I like simple solutions to things. So let's look at this simpler, more pragmatic alternative.
Or just accepting reality that we can't estimate this stuff. and we have to find some other way of figuring out how to decide what we're going to do with our time, limited time on this planet.
It starts by asking yourself two questions about each feature that you think you'd like to deliver. First, how much do you think your users would value this feature? Do you think that they would think it was worth a beer, their monthly salary, a holiday, their car, or their house? And then ask yourself, how much is it going to cost to build it? Will it cost a beer, a monthly salary, a holiday, my car, or my house? The things down here are obviously a complete no-brainer. Of course we want to work on things that users think are worth their house.
Right. So you found a market inefficiency somewhere where you can build something that for relatively cheap, but you're going to deliver massive amounts of value. Yeah, this is the micro monopoly niche stuff. This area in here, and most businesses as well. They're going to try and they found an inefficiency where they can hire developers or do whatever something they can put together where they're going to make it worth their while to exchange a beer for a house. Essentially, let's keep going. But yes, this is a good way of thinking about it.
But that will only cost us a beer to produce. So we always pick these things to do first. Things down here are stupid. Why on earth would we spend a house worth of effort to produce something that's only worth a beer to our users?
Because we don't know what it is. We build it and they will come, and they didn't come. We spent all of our lives because we didn't want to test it against the users in the market and build a little piece at a time. We didn't want to do an MVP or POC first, and then MVP, and then version 1, and then version. We didn't want to do all that stuff. We wanted to pre-form it completely perfect in our mind, and usually by that time that's happened is the technology's moved forward or somebody's taken that idea and already brought it to market. I live in Mexico right now, and it's festival time, and that was some fireworks. Here we go.
So we're definitely not going to do these things at all. Everything in the middle we don't understand well enough yet to decide what to do with them.
Okay, but so one of these lines, what are these lines here? These are all still subjective stuff, man. I mean, it's a nice framework, but these lines are very faded, very gray. You've got them stark here, but it's very gray. It's like, and the gradient is different widths for different people, different domains, different companies. It's only over here when we know. Holy shit, I found a market inefficiency. I'm going to build it real quick and then get a house out of it.
So our next...
Sometimes it'll happen. If you stick around long enough and build your skills up long enough and keep your eyes peeled and listen to what your users want, there's all kinds of stuff like this here. All kinds of stuff. Holy crap.
Next step then is to figure out how we could learn more to help us to make a choice.
Yeah, or learn that it's not the right thing to build. Right? Learn, this is where you want to learn in here, whether you build it or don't build it. Man, that's takes for. I mean, are you paying us for this? Is this a ticket? Are we getting tickets on this to learn more? So that's where all that points ticket stuff comes into play. It's like, yeah, I don't know, man.
Maybe this could be some kind
because the results aren't tangible, right? The results aren't tangible.
Kind of experiment in production to refine our view of the value our users will place on the idea. Maybe an A/B test of some different variations of the idea to help us think about it from different angles.
Yeah, I've got some techniques on how to pre-validate ideas before you go out and try to build the damn thing fully. There's ways to test it, but they're not obvious, and I might do a video about it.
A simpler version of this feature that makes it a lot easier to make, perhaps. None of this stuff needs
a POC, MVP, something. See if there's any value there at all. Or they're just lying to you. Oh yeah, it's a great idea. Oh my God, it's gonna make $1 billion. It's like, will you pay $2 for it? Well, I don't know. I think I'm pretty tight this week.
or should be very precise. It's all qualitative and approximate. But qualitative and approximate is where error bars are for software estimation. So another thing that helps is working in small steps. Even without deep accuracy and irrelevant precision, this model helps us to focus our mind.
Okay, right. I agree. I see it. It's cool. I'll give it to you.
On the things that really matter, and to stop us wasting time and effort on things that don't. So I really like this simple, slightly silly, but extremely useful tool for planning.
This isn't silly. This is legit. This is how people think about stuff in general, whether they want to say it or not. How much is it going to cost me to build it? And if it's a beer and I get a house out of it, somebody's going to be like, you got to build this for me. Whereas if it's going to cost a house and you get a beer out of it, it's like, this is going to take me 10 years to build. I'm going to get for 5 cents out of this thing. It's like, no, I'm not building that. Now, some people will do hobbies. This is open source, right? And they're doing car level effort and getting a beer resell to resell. That's most open source projects. All right, let's keep going.
One more thing before I go. I've been describing this as Jeff Patton's model for years now. I was recently having a beer with Jeff and mentioned how much I liked it and how much I'd used it, and I thanked him for introducing me to the idea. At which point, he looked at my picture and didn't recognise it as anything he'd ever said. So now I have no idea who I stole this from, but it certainly wasn't my idea, and seemingly it wasn't Jeff's either.
It doesn't matter whose idea it is. These things are floating out and around in our consciousness. It's only when people label ideas like, oh yeah, I kind of think that way, or they structure it a certain way. It's like, oh yeah, that's how I think about it. Or if you haven't thought about it, like, what are you doing? If you haven't been thinking about these things, come on.
Thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. And give them a like and subscribe over there. Give me like and subscribe. Thanks for listening to me rant about this. I don't like estimates. I think they're a waste of time. And we need to have one estimate in the beginning. It's like how much time we're going to have for this thing. And you better show results all along the way, or it's going to be canceled. Anyway, that's just how this stuff works. And if you don't like it, you just get in the wrong business.